Hello everyone, welcome back to the SBRE. In today's video, we're going to recap the 2017 movie Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle. Jumanji 2 was the most awaited sequel of the ultra-famous classic movie Jumanji that was released in 1995. Following the board game, this time the game takes the form of a game cassette, trapping 5 teenagers inside the game, and they must save Jumanji to go back to the real world. Now sit back, relax, enjoy, and make sure to watch the video till the end so you don't miss out on anything. The movie opens up at a beach in the year 1996, and we hear some ominous sound from the drum beating. Shortly after, a couple jog by. The man stops in his tracks and bends down to pick up something buried in the sand. It's the board game Jumanji. He brings it back to his home and gives it to his teenage son. When the son opens up to find that it's just a board game, he puts it aside uninterested and continues playing on the TV. However, when night falls, a green glow starts emitting from the game and the same sound of the drum beating fills the room, waking up the boy. When the boy approaches the game, the drum stops, and when he opens it, he sees a game cassette named Jumanji inside the board game. When he puts it in his game console, a bright light surrounds the room and the scene zooms out. The next scene shows a boy playing video games in his room, and by the look of the big screen TV and the game animation, it becomes clear that the scene is shifted to the future. The boy is Spencer Giplin. He gets a text from someone. He hurries to type in a few words for an essay before leaving his house. The next scene rolls and we see another high school student named Anthony leaving his house telling his mother that Spencer is going to tutor him and get his grades up so he doesn't get dropped from his sports team. The scene shifts again, and this time we see a girl named Bethany obsessing over her surroundings and posing for pictures before posting it with the caption, "Just woke up," and #NoFilter. Spencer is seen waiting outside an old rotting house. There he meets Anthony, where it turns out Spencer wasn't tutoring him. Instead, he has been doing his essays and homework for him. Spencer tries to suggest they hang out sometimes, but Fridge leaves when a girl offers him a ride. Dejected, Spencer is about to walk away when a weird man from the creepy house confronts him about loitering around the house. In the distance, we see Bethany and her mom stop to watch the scene, and Bethany's mom sympathizes with the old man. The next scene takes us to a high school where Bethany is given detention for talking on her phone during a test. During gym class, we meet another student named Martha, who argues with the gym teacher about the uselessness of gym class in future academia, and lands herself in detention. Halfway through gym class, Spencer gets called in by the principal, and when he reaches the office, Anthony and his teacher are already inside. The teacher calls out the blatant similarity between Anthony's essay and Spencer's essay from last year. Under pressure, Spencer admits he had written Anthony's paper for him. This confession lands them both in detention, and Anthony gets kicked off of his team. For detention, the principal assigns them the task of unstapling magazines before they get recycled. Martha and Spencer get to work, but the other two are little help, as Bethany whines about the lack of signal in the room and Anthony explores the room. Spencer tries to strike up a conversation with Martha, but it becomes very awkward halfway through. Not long after, Anthony finds something on one of the shelves. It was an old video game with the cartridge of Jumanji still inside it. Curious, they try to see what it is by attaching it to an old TV. The game begins loading. Martha tries to get their attention back on the task at hand, but everyone is engrossed selecting characters in the game. When Bethany makes fun of her saying she is not big on fun, Martha finally decides to join in and pick the last character. Spencer presses start, and the ominous sound of drums and animals starts playing again, getting louder and louder. The game starts malfunctioning, causing them to unplug it, but when they do, everyone gets pulled into the game. The next scene shows everyone falling into a jungle. For a good few minutes, they are all confused before they realize that they are stuck inside the game and have become the character they chose. Spencer becomes Dr. Smolder Bravestone, Anthony turns into Moose Finbar, Martha turns into Ruby Roundhouse, and Bethany becomes Professor Shelley Oberon, who is not a female as she had hoped. Martha panics about a tattoo that she has, 3 thick black lines on her wrist. But to their surprise, they each have a similar one. Bethany starts complaining about her missing phone and hideous appearance when something sneaks up behind her. The other 3 are horrified to witness Bethany getting eaten by a hippo. They start to panic, and Spencer and Anthony argue over who should go save her when suddenly an odd sound rings in the air, and seconds later Bethany falls from the sky. Unable to catch a break, they are then chased by hippos when a car appears out of nowhere. The driver, Nigel, is the guide of Jumanji. They tried asking him questions, but he answered only with what he was programmed to say. He gave them a little backstory of Jumanji, of how once a man named Professor Russell Van Pelt hired Nigel under the impression that he was going to write about the jewel of Jumanji. Nigel helped him, not knowing his ill intentions, but once he had the jewel, he was nearly invincible and could control all of the animals of Jumanji. But one night, when he was sleeping, Nigel took the jewel and ran away. He then wrote to Dr. Bravestone asking for his help. He informed them that they can only leave Jumanji if they put the jewel back in its place and called out Jumanji. He then gave them a map, told them to find the missing piece at the bazaar, and drove away. They initially thought that the map was empty until Bethany took a look at it, and she could see the map clearly. Map reading was one of her strengths. They were comparing each other's strengths and weaknesses when Bethany informed them that the map was shifting and the place that they stood now read, "The Mighty Roar." Just then, dozens of men on motorcycles began shooting at them. They escaped into the forest where they were able to survive thanks to their teamwork. We also see Spencer using one of his strengths called Boomerang to kill 4 people at once. After running around, they are all together at the edge of a waterfall and are left with no choice but to jump. When they swim to safety, Martha informs them that she had been shot. Martha resurrects immediately after disappearing, but Spencer makes a startling discovery that the 3 black marks on their wrists were actually their lives in the game. While Spencer and Anthony had 3 lives, Martha and Bethany were already down to 2. While hiking uphill towards the bazaar, Spencer and Anthony get into a little argument, and Anthony pushes Spencer off the hill in anger, costing him a life. Spencer becomes the bigger person and lets the matter go. When they reach the bazaar, they cluelessly wander around before they decide to eat something to keep their strength up. Bethany comments on the delicious bread she's eating, and Anthony immediately snatches the food to take a bite. Loving the taste, he asks the vendor what it is, and is horrified to discover that it's actually cake and not bread. You see, cake is one of Moose's weaknesses. When nothing happens after a while of eating, he cheerfully declares that it must be a misunderstanding. But suddenly, he explodes mid-sentence before dropping from the sky a second later. They then encounter a child who leads them to the missing piece, but they miss the eyes of the eagle that was following them. The missing piece is in a basket in the middle of the room. Everyone is convinced that there's a snake in there. Anthony pushes Spencer to open the basket and get the piece. Reluctantly, Spencer moves to open it. The moment he does, a black mamba rises menacingly. He quickly shuts it again. The boy had given them a hint to not blink, and they assume if they hold eye contact with the snake, they can distract it. Bethany volunteers to do it, but her guess is wrong, and the snake immediately goes to attack Martha. Luckily, Spencer gets to the snake in time, and Anthony manages to remove his venom gland. When they get the missing piece, it's not the missing piece of the map they were hoping to find. Instead, there's an elephant figure inside the letter, and the letter reads, "Start climbing when you see the elephant." More confused than ever before, they leave the room, only to be attacked by Professor Russell and his lackeys. Dr. Bravestone, aka Spencer, takes it upon himself to fight everyone, but finds himself cornered when Professor Russell pulls out guns. Just then, a gas grenade explodes, filling the area with smoke, and a person comes through the smoke and helps them escape. That person is none other than the 5th player of Jumanji, Seaplane. He introduces himself as Alex and takes them through an underground tunnel filled with traps. They open a door and enter a jungle where Alex takes them to his house, which was built by Alan Perry of Jumanji 1. Alex tells them how he's been stuck here because he couldn't get past the cannon no matter how many times he tried, and now he's afraid to move alone because he just has 1 life left. Spencer assures him that with their teamwork, they can surely make it out alive. Together, they set out to steal a vehicle from a warehouse that is protected by 2 guards. Having no other option, they plead with Martha to use her charm as Ruby and seduce the guys long enough so that they can sneak in and steal a vehicle. While Bethany takes Martha away to teach her some tricks, the boys talk about how long Alex has been in Jumanji. Spencer and Anthony soon realize that Alex is the boy who disappeared 20 years ago. When they tell Alex that it's been 20 years since he had disappeared, he shuts down completely. On the other hand, Ruby is ready to unleash her skills on the men, but all she gets was an automated response. The others sneak in, and Anthony knocks over a bike making loud noises. When the guards become alert, Ruby uses her strength of dance fighting to knock the guards out. Inside the shed, Alex is having a breakdown and lacks the confidence that he can fly a helicopter. To make matters worse, Bethany sees dozens of bikes coming towards them. Spencer and Martha convince Alex to believe in his strength and fly the helicopter. He does, and they make a grand escape. But unfortunately, one of the biker's bullets hits the chopper's wing, unhinging it. The helicopter started to drop into the canyon, and Alex said the chopper won't go up until the unhinged part is fixed. Just then, they heard the drum again, and to add to their luck, dozens of hippos started chasing the helicopter. Spencer takes it upon himself and goes to fix the problem. The matter becomes urgent when they reach a dead end, but in the nick of time, Spencer fixes it and flies off. Everything would have been fine, but when Anthony leaned over to puke, the green jewel rolled out of his backpack and into the canyon. They take a detour to search for the jewel, but when they find it, it's surrounded by hippos who were circling around it to protect it. Seeing no other way, Spencer decides to sacrifice Anthony and pushes him off the helicopter. The hippo's attention immediately shifts and they start chasing Anthony. Spencer retrieves the jewel at the same time Anthony is trampled by the hippos. Everyone is happy to make it out of the canyon alive, especially Alex. But the happiness is short-lived as a mosquito bites Alex. Mosquito being one of his weaknesses, Alex immediately begins to die, but Bethany saves him by offering him one of her lives. In the next scene, while searching for the jaguar statue, we see Bethany and Alex having a heartfelt conversation, and on the other side, Martha and Spencer are confessing to each other only to get interrupted by Anthony, who had found the jaguar statue. Having reached the final stage of the game, they are confident yet very nervous because their journey to the end has been a little too smooth sailing. Soon after they reached the bottom of the jaguar statue, the map shifted again to display the defenders. Spencer again gathers his strength and asks Anthony for the jewel. The moment he touches it, a series of torches light up to display the path towards the jaguar statue. But at the same time, the ominous drum started playing again. Everyone became alert, bracing themselves for the worst, and sure enough, a group of jaguars began emerging from the lit path. Spencer decided not to follow the path, convinced it was a trap. Instead, he decided to climb along with the trees, as it was one of his strengths. He began very confidently, but minutes later he saw a squirrel on a tree branch and lost his balance, falling to the ground. He then falls from the sky a little way into the lit path. After losing a life, he becomes scared to try again. Anthony convinces Spencer to keep fighting and comes up with a plan. The plan was to cover Spencer from all sides and distract the cats so he can reach the statue easily, but that plan was interrupted by the arrival of the bike gang. Martha uses her dance fighting skills again and takes on the bike gang. Alex uses himself as bait to get a jaguar away from Spencer. Bethany faces off with the jaguar but is saved by someone unknown. Spencer steals a bike from the gang and rides it uphill. On the other hand, Anthony comes face to face with an elephant and manages to tame it thanks to his skills in zoology. They all gather up together at the foot of the jaguar statue, and Spencer is about to go up when suddenly they get surrounded by jaguars. Behind the jaguar statue stands Professor Russell holding a gun to Bethany's head. He warns Spencer to hand over the jewel, but in a twist of events, it's revealed that he never had the jewel on him. The camera focuses on Anthony as he holds up the jewel, riding on the back of an elephant. The jaguars attack the elephant, and it fights them off due to constant jostling. Anthony loses his grip on the jewel, which goes flying into the mountain. Alex fights the professor to get the gun away from him. Martha urges Spencer to ride to the top, promising him that she would bring the jewel to him. When Martha reaches the place where the jewel is dropped, she is greeted by hundreds of snakes. She manages to sneak in and get the jewel, but suddenly, all the snakes start rising. It was the professor who was controlling them. He urges Martha to hand over the jewel, but she uses her weakness for venom and gets bitten by the snake. As she is resurrecting and falling from the sky, Spencer is waiting on top to take the jewel from her. She hands him the jewel midair and lands perfectly beneath him. Spencer immediately jams the jewel in its place, but nothing happens. That's when they remember to call out Jumanji, and when they do, they find themselves facing Nigel the guide again. As he shakes their hand, one by one, they all disappear out of the game and into the real world. And as they're walking down the streets together, they see that the creepy house is now a different place. Just then, a car stops and a little girl runs out of the car, and a man stands there talking to his dad. They immediately realize who it was, and the man, upon seeing them, immediately makes his way over, identifying each of them. It was a middle-aged Alex who had gone back to his own time in 1996. The four develop a great bond after that. Bethany is less into social media and more into nature. Spencer and Anthony started hanging out again, and Spencer and Martha finally got together. And just when they thought all was good, they heard the drums again. This time, Anthony drops a bowling ball on top of the game, destroying it completely. The scene fades out as they walk away from the destroyed game. That was it for today, guys. We hope you enjoyed the video. What are your thoughts about this movie? Would you watch it? Let us know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.